these people behind the stained glass windows? Have they forgotten just what they came here for? Was it salvation or scared of hell? Or an assembly of a social get-together? What is the mission of the preacher man? Some are true, some do lie. What's the mission of the preacher man? Yeah. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, tearing it up yet another week.
Another day, another penny.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was what was the title of that song?
The title of that song is Mission.
Mission.
Yes.
Mission. Jay, I once again can't even fathom a guess.
That's okay. I wouldn't expect you to know this.
Well,
one.
you don't expect me to know anything, so it could be a Rolling Stones song, and you don't expect me to know.
Well, there's some truth to that, but this one I really didn't expect. It was by a band called King's X.
King's X.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the Queen, the King's X?
Maybe. Or The King Is Here. X marks the spot. No.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite bands of all time, and this is a song off of their second album, Gretchen Goes to Nebraska.
Interesting title. What genre would you call that kind of music?
Progressive rock, I guess. Okay. Yeah. You know, they got their start and kind of met playing in backup for another band.
You like something with the word progressive in it? I just was curious.
Well, I like progressive snacks.
Yeah, they get better more you eat them.
Yeah, right. No, this is a great band. Super tight, really good, like Beatlesque type harmonies. Just really, really good songwriters. A lot of the guys from the '90s that you would know, your Soundgardens,
I've heard of them.
Your Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, even like bands like
I know all of them.
Even bands like Pantera and stuff. They cite King's X as one of their main influences.
This is going to shock you.
Yeah.
I actually saw Pantera and White Zombie at the Target Center.
Wow.
When I was in college. Yeah.
Not
I
me.
actually went there. They had the Jim Rose Circus.
Yeah.
And I actually went. I was in the, what do you call the thing in the middle back then?
General admission?
Mosh
or
pit.
the mosh pit?
Mosh pit. Yeah. I saw a few people get stretchered out.
It used to be a mosh pit. Now it's just general admission. That's where all the people with money go.
Well, it was an interesting crop of characters back then, and an interesting crowd that they drew.
Right.
I remember I actually did see the 9 Inch Nails at Target Center as well, but I was not in the mosh pit. Who I actually enjoyed their show. I was in high school still. I want to say that was 93, 94. It was actually a decent. I mean, I didn't know anything about them when I went there. I mean, I'd heard of them, but my friends, of course, were fans of alternative grunge. That's when it was right around the time that the guy from Nirvana killed himself. And don't tell me his name. I'll think of it. Kurt Cobain.
Right.
And I remember that. So it was right around that time. So I want to say 94-ish, but I respected their show for sure. So, I mean, it would surprise people who know me that I've seen Page Plant. I've seen everything from George Strait to Pantera and White Zombie.
Yeah.
Okay, at a concert before. So
you've seen all these things that I haven't seen, which is amazing. Right?
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Page Plant. I mean, I forgot where my car was parked, what parking ramp, but I didn't see them. So, and they played a lot of Led Zeppelin stuff, which I wasn't expecting. I was expecting more
their album.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking. But anyhow, Jay, today, when we're recording this, a red letter day today.
Yeah, a red letter day.
The Muller Report is out.
Yes, it is.
Now, I have better things to do than read 400 pages of diarrhea. So I have not read it. I'm not going to either. I mean, I don't have to. Okay. What I witnessed on the news today, I just live streamed some stuff when I was at the office and on my lunch break. Embarrassed me. I don't consider you and I members of the media. Some people would probably classify us as that, but I don't know why. I don't see us as...
We're social commentators.
Yeah, I mean, we're commentators, not reporters.
Right.
And
we're educators.
I think so, too. I mean, you always learn new things, and I always like to learn new things. Mm-hmm. I'm not afraid to learn something new. What I saw on news today, as I didn't think we could reach a new low, and we've reached a new low.
Oh, we can go much lower.
I think we can, and I think we're going to. But, I mean... Nothing ended today. For me, something ended.
Yes.
Okay? Nothing's going to happen. Nothing did happen. Mm-hmm. The pathway for the president's reelection is pretty clear right now.
Yeah.
It can still go away, but there are polls that have him up. NBC. Yes. Okay. He's up about 15 points since last July.
Wow.
Scott Rasmussen has him as 53% right now.
Wow.
I mean, he is above and beyond, and I think he's higher than that. I personally think Trump pulls low. I think he's higher than that.
Right.
And the pathway for his reelection has been set. Now, here's my question. Okay. What do you do if you are the opposition right now? Polls have shown, I can't remember where I saw this. I should have Googled it before the show, but 2 out of 3 Democrats in this country believe that the Russians went in and changed votes from Mrs. Clinton to President Trump.
Oh, boy.
Now, I can't blame them for thinking it the way that the media and Democratic politicians have acted.
Right.
So how do you stop this now? I mean, I saw Adam Schiff this morning try to claim that they're going to go on with this because there's still more to uncover. There wasn't an exoneration here. Well, earth to Mr. Schiff, the burden is not on President Trump to prove he's innocent.
Right.
Okay? It's the other way around. Mm-hmm. And when you spend 2 years investigating something, over 1 million pages of documentation.
Wow.
When do you stop and go, okay, you know what? But the Dems can't afford to do a mea culpa, and they can't afford to double down.
Right.
So
they go
either way.
You go either way, and I mean, you risk losing the House.
I mean, right, but I mean, you risk. I mean, Schiff can't go. Oh, hey, sorry, screwed that up.
Yeah.
Darn, oops.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the chair of the Intelligence Committee. This guy has access to more information, arguably, than anyone in Congress. Mm-hmm. And I mean, John Brennan went on television. James Clapper went on television, cloaked as experts.
Yeah.
People who had, again, director of the CIA and the director for national intelligence, perhaps along with Mr. Schiff, have more of a security clearance than anybody.
Right.
And how do you mea culpa this? And you look stupider and stupider the more you talk.
Yep.
But they got too much invested in it. I'm telling you. Look, here's what's going to happen. Here's my prediction. I want to hear yours.
Okay.
They're going to keep talking. They're going to have some phony hearings, and even Mueller himself may go there. He doesn't have to. I mean, I don't know how they can. I still don't understand how they can subpoena a special prosecutor, but supposedly they can. And this is going to slowly die down. I mean, legally it's over.
Right.
Politically it's not. I mean, is that a good way to describe where we are?
That's a perfect way to describe it, yeah.
So now we're entering a political process. And I love how, maybe the president obstructed justice. Well, how can you obstruct it if there's no crime?
Right.
What are you obstructing? The president's lawyer testified. He doesn't have to testify. Mm-mm. So, I mean, what I'm just astounded at the attempt to just continue the narrative. The hell with the evidence, the hell with the truth, the hell with what's good for our nation, the hell with any ethics whatsoever. And if you want to argue President Trump's not the most ethical guy, fine. The guy conquered New Jersey, and there's people you got to deal with in New Jersey, and I'll just let you fill in the blanks. But, I mean, we've reached a new low as far as I'm concerned. And I don't consider myself a journalist. I know you don't either, but as somebody of the media community, if you want to call us that, I am embarrassed today.
Yeah.
Google, just YouTube Cuomo's son on CNN. YouTube that for a guy clueless, grasping, hoping. Yeah. And I just want to know if CNN's going to keep Clapper and Brennan around.
I'm sure.
As it's going to continue to pay them. There'll be the usual accountability in the media.
I'm excited. Not that I'm excited. I'm not going to go search it out, but I'll wait for the replay to come back to see how things turn out with some of the evening news broadcasters tonight.
Well, if you want a compilation,
Rachel Maddow will be fantastic, I'm sure.
I'm sure tomorrow night that will be.
Yes.
Just watch Tucker Carlson. He always does a good job of monitoring.
Yeah.
Sean Hannity does as well. I occasionally disagree with both of them.
Me too.
But I respect them, even though I disagree with them once in a while. But Tucker Carlson had a good one before I came in here today. So, and I was following Twitter and watching every presidential candidate try to put a positive spin on. I mean, and I understand for raising money and for, but to me, the more they go after the president and the more they don't try to govern, the more they ensure that President Trump will be there till January 20th, 2025.
Yep.
And Trump is so much smarter than people give him credit for. His instincts are always good. And I think he is going to, I think he's already turning this around.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to do it, times 100 pretty soon. And I think we'll be giggling about this for a while. But I wonder how the history books are going to look back on this as just think, 2 out of 3 Democratic voters think Russian agents, Russian cosmonauts, Yuri Gagarin flew over here and changed votes. Seriously, the Red October came over to New York. And where, who, what state, what precinct? No one has any idea. It's all just this narrative out there.
You know what it is? It's all the Russian bears they trained for all the circuses here in the United States.
I can't bear to think of that.
Oh, jeez.
They're pretty fast.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're Russian. Oh, sorry. It's just...
My word.
I'm terrible today. I'm just terrible.
Today?
Especially today. I mean,
Yeah, no argument here. Oh.
So a new low reached in media, but like you're right. Watch the compilations, and I'm sure it'll just get worse.
Yeah.
Watch the Sunday shows too. Which I don't watch anymore. I used to.
I don't either.
I used to like Tim Russert a lot. I still like Chris Wallace once in a while, but I can't watch George Snuffleupagus or whoever's on anymore. Who's on Slay the Nation now? Who hosts that? I don't even know. Well, David Brinkley did for 152 years, a long time ago, but I can't watch those shows anymore. They're just anybody that has David Brooks on representing conservatives has no credibility, in my opinion, anyway.
Right.
So that's our lesson for today. The great Muller Report. We've waited with bated breath. I just think we have an entire side that is disappointed that they couldn't get somebody today.
Yeah, just one final thing on that. I mean, shouldn't we be happy? Hey, our president isn't colluding with a foreign enemy.
Yeah,
they're like kicking rocks with their hands in their pockets, and
I know. Now it's off to his taxes. They're still obsessed with his taxes. Donald Trump probably has 500 people working on his taxes. They are probably as thorough and as he probably gets audited all the time.
Yeah, he does.
And I mean, what in the world were you going to find there? Well, you know what it is. They want to see how much money he's donated to charity, how much, if he got hit with an alternative minimum tax or he didn't pay his fair share or, he took this write-off. I mean, that's what they want to look at. There's nothing there to be gained by it. And the president's right. Look, until I'm told to release, I ain't gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, what the heck? I mean, anybody see Beto O'Rourke's taxes recently and the 0.3% he donated to charity?
Oh, boy.
Why isn't that
Robert
a story?
Francis?
Yeah. Why isn't that a story anywhere? Mr. Everybody should contribute and give to the migrants or something while he's hoarding his 11th house or whatever he has. I mean,
Bernie the millionaire who doesn't give much of anything away.
You got to
takes every tax credit he could get.
You got to look. Kamala Harris just released her taxes, going all the way back to when she was first a government employee.
In Uganda,
Uganda giant Kim Chi released the taxes today. There was 20 years of government income. Oh, wow. Gee whiz. You fleeced the taxpayers of California since 2000 or whatever it is.
Congratulations.
I mean, she was, a DA first and then attorney general or whatever it was. But, I mean, basically just showed how much money the taxpayers of California paid her, which was about $1 gazillion too much. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it's just going to go off. The more the other side tries to, and you think somebody learned this lesson that, if people expect results when they vote, not investigations, although this was kind of predictable.
Yeah.
But, if you don't govern, if you don't follow through on what you say you're going to do, at some point, man, there's consequences for doing that.
Right.
So, anyhow. A new low of lows. Now, Jay, we have a little interesting subject today.
Yeah, this is a bit of a diversion for us.
A bit, but with local implications like everything has.
Absolutely.
Because, it's getting down locally is what is happening here, even though the focus, of course, is almost always on St. Paul or Washington.
Well, and what have we said? I mean, when you can't get stuff passed in Washington or St. Paul, they come to the local areas and they try to gather support, whether it be at city councils or just groups of people.
Yeah, or school districts or counties or whatever. Yeah. It spreads like wildfire. Yeah. Who are we talking about, Jay? Who are we talking about?
We are talking about a group that calls themselves Isaiah.
Isaiah J.R. Ryder, right?
No, he retired, and I think he stayed out of politics and faith.
I just remember, the reason I remember that is when the Timberwolves drafted J.R. Ryder, and the commissioner guy said Isaiah. I just went, who the hell did we pick? Just for that split second. It was like, what in the world? Oh, okay. Yep. All right. So anyway.
Excited for a minute. Thought it was Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, it's like, did he just retire? Isaiah J.R. Ryder. Easy Rider.
Okay, anyways, you can follow along at isaiahmn.org. This group, Isaiah, their tagline is faith in diversity. So you can kind of tell where we're headed already with this.
So now faith in diversity. Now, are we talking about faith as in religion or faith as in we just have faith in diversity? Are we mixing the two? What are we doing?
That's interesting the way you put that. It is a faith-based group, and it looks like it's open to anyone. Anyone can come. And it is, I don't know, it's kind of hard to pin down some of what they're trying to do, but it's out there, and you have to dig a little bit. There are things, if you look just at what they say they believe, if you can find it,
to jump in, Isaiah MN is their Twitter handle too.
Yes, and they have Facebook and all that stuff. Most places will put about us at the top. That'll be one of their main menu items on their website in their primary menu bar, but this one you got to go all the way down to the footer to find their about section, and there you find their mission and their board and who's on staff and all that kind of stuff. And
board, BORED. Oh no, not BOARD. Okay,
right.
Okay.
had to think about it, though.
You probably thought I misspelled it. Yeah, no.
Yeah, and so we're not here today to like bash faith and faith-based stuff. We're both men of faith.
I would never. People who don't have faith worry me.
Yeah, I serve in leadership in a church, and I have always believed you don't tear other churches down for their ministry, the ministry that they do, even if you don't fully agree with it, unless it's so far off the rails. Obviously there are things like if you have churches that are embracing abortions, if you are part of a church that...
Well, you got to take a moral stand at some point.
Yeah.
Faith is all about morality.
Right.
It's all about a sense of right and wrong. If you don't have faith, you don't have a sense of right and wrong, you can't have faith.
Right.
It's impossible. There's no teaching to follow.
Right. And let me preface things this way. There are a lot of these churches these days, a lot, especially in the mainline denominations, and we're talking about some of the older ones. You are fine, and there are others that are not. Anyways, so you've got those, and where you have pockets of kind of straying away from what the Bible has said. But here's the thing, where they have gone into this social justice stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of been because the other side, the evangelical side, has kind of abandoned it. And there's a point where they should be meeting in the middle, where church is all about helping the needy. It is about lifting up the people who are oppressed. I mean, not just the poor. The poor is a big part of it, but even just, middle class people, upper class people,
Sure, they can get sick. They can be dealing with a death.
Absolutely.
They could lose a job.
Yeah.
They could, somebody get in a car accident. There's people of faith should be coming together. You could have a tragedy like a tornado or something like that where people of faith need to come together, period. And I would walk hand in hand with people for causes like that anytime the phone rings.
Any denomination, any race.
No doubt about it.
I'll just flat out say it.
Yeah.
But here's where the divergence happens. There's this middle point where I believe that evangelicals need to be more charitable and not just throwing money at things, because there's a lot of that, and that's good, but you need to get your hands a little dirty too, and you need to dig in the dirt. When I went to Haiti in 2010 after the hurricane tore everything apart down there.
Jay, we almost have to do a show on your trip to Haiti at some point. The stories you've told about, and you've mentioned a handful of them over the episodes too, but it's a fascinating trip. You've told me off the air about a lot. That might be an episode in itself someday.
It might be, yeah. I'd love to go back, definitely. But so it's about doing things like that. It's about getting involved in humanity. Throwing money at something is okay. It's good. We need to do that. We need to be charitable and give. But there's something also about investing your time in helping you to learn to love other people.
And I would second that. I think, giving money, and I wish I gave more than I do. You can't be everywhere at once. Mm-hmm. Sometimes giving money is what you can offer.
Right.
But you're right. Sometimes, and it doesn't have to be faith-based. I mean, there are organizations out there, whether it's Beyond the Yellow Ribbon, whether it's veterans groups like that, or coaching or anything like that, where any amount of your time is probably better than the $10 or $20 that you can, you know what I'm saying? There's you're right. There's a doing element of it, but I always feel like the people who just cut checks and look the other way are. They're cheapening what the church and the community is all about. And I'll tell you something else. A good deed, I'm not sure if I read this in the Bible, but if it's not in the Bible directly, I know it's hinted at. Because with social media and self-promotion out there all day, a good deed is not a good deed if everybody knows about it.
Right.
I've always just believed that if you're going to do something, the trumpets come off of it the second you promote it.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I was helping the homeless today, taking a bunch of selfies. And that is as shallow as you get. To me, I'm turned off by that.
Now, there's a difference if you're looking at it for the attention versus you're looking at it at giving the organization the attention to get more people involved.
But then you don't make it about yourself.
Exactly.
So, you quietly go recruit more people, or your motive is behind it too. But I think your larger point about people of faith coming together, regardless of their differences, some are very minor. Is there is a gap there that you're hinting at, and this social justice stuff.
It's way on the other end.
Yeah,
totally. Because that's the thing. The throwing money at a problem without investing yourself in it personally, that's not really good, and we need to be more charitable as far as people that are on the evangelical side, because I think that we have abandoned that to a certain degree. However, on the other side of that chasm, that chasm, as John Kerry would say, you have...
I got 3 purple hearts.
Yeah. No. You have people that they do get involved in their communities. They do show love and they try to help, but they also have this element of socialism where they want to engage with the government to force other people to pay for what they want them to pay for.
Okay, but in reality, that's no different than any kind of group or lobbying, but you're using faith as the basis for it. And here's the interesting thing. You always hear the term religious right and these crazy evangelicals who voted for Bush and voted for Trump, and they're imposing their views on all of us. We need separation of church and state, which is not in the Constitution, by the way.
Right.
Yet there's not a peep about the churches or the faith-based organizations that are pushing socialism.
No.
So why does one side complain about, and I have no problem with faith-based groups. I can disagree with them, but I have no problem with, they have as much of a right to engage in lobbying or voting or activism as anybody else does. But why is it if one side does that, it's separation of church and state? We can't have that. We can't have public money going to a Christian school. We can't. But if it's to get, say, driver's license for illegal aliens, there's not a peep about separation of church and state whatsoever. So what's going on?
And how often do you see people on the right speaking at churches versus people on the left speaking at churches? How many times have you seen footage of Hillary Clinton speaking in a church? Or, it's all the time.
Yeah.
And here's where I find kind of the split is that Jesus taught us about giving. He taught us that giving was important because being generous is part of the Christian experience.
Yes, and being generous does not mean paying taxes either. Can we clear that up, please?
And that's exactly where I'm heading.
Yeah.
Is that, can we be generous if somebody is taking it from us by force?
No, because that's not generosity.
Right. So
what's the difference? Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
What's the difference if I barged into your house, okay, and stole your wallet?
Yep.
I can be charged with about 6 felonies.
Yes.
Depending on the amount or whether I broke your door down or whatever. I mean, some circumstances.
Yep.
Okay. If I hire a politician to go into your house and steal your wallet, that's called social justice.
Right.
Now you tell me what the difference is. It doesn't matter where the money's. If I stole your money to go feed the poor, it's still not okay to take your money. If you give your money to the poor, that's something different.
Right. And I will go a step further and say that if I give my money to the poor, this generous feeling, it makes me love them more. It makes me empathize with them. It makes me be able to put myself in their shoes for just a little bit and I'll be more likely to donate again and again and again, my time, my money, whatever. If it is taken from me, it is more likely that I am going to harbor resentment against the government and against the people that are taking my money. And I am not going to feel generous towards them. I'm going to let the government take my money and give it to them, but they're sure as heck not going to get my time. I'm not going to spend time loving on them. I'm not going to spend time. You understand where I'm going with that?
Yes, and keep in mind, the more money taken from you, the less money you have to give away.
Right.
So there's that element of it too. And you're right. And that's the thing about what the government has helped create these divisions. There's an element of people who are paying and paying and paying, never hearing a thank you. If I gave a homeless guy $10 and he ate his first meal in a week, the guy would probably hug and kiss me for 2.5 weeks. Okay, not that I'd want him to.
Right.
But there's a human connection. There's a satisfaction you have in oh my, thank God this guy has something to eat. Or what the better thing to do would be to get him a new shirt and drive him to a job interview. That might be the better idea. Okay, or find him a couch to live on.
Right.
Sometimes throwing money and then just letting him go is maybe makes things worse. But the point is that we have certain, I don't know that classes is the right word. We have certain folks who are doing all the paying and certain folks that are doing all the taking.
Yes.
And that exacerbates this even more.
Yes, it does.
Because the people getting the taking have no incentive not to get the taking, and the people who are giving have no incentive to give another cent.
Right.
So we're at this impasse, and we have a country that is very unequally taxed, depending on how you make your money, too, and what you deduct and all that. And then we have all these regressive excess taxes, and we've created this class, real or perceived, because sometimes I think it's perceived, anger at each other.
Yeah.
How many people, have been in a grocery store line, and I'm guilty of this, and seen EBT cards or WIC used and just gotten pissed off. And I'll tell you, I'm one.
I used to, yeah.
I purposely will not grocery shop on the first of the month because I get so angry. And I just do it just out of, that's the money that I'm not taking home. Now, I'll tell you what, if it were up to me, okay, I would do, like I said before, instead of throwing money at somebody, I would have what poor people need is a plan to get out of where they're at.
Right.
The free stuff just ensures they stay where they are. So, I know we're going a little off topic here, but not really, because this is where the faith-based stuff can come in.
Right. I mean, the understanding charity, the heart of true charity, I think, is going to give us perspective for the rest of this. And that we're not really slamming faith or people who might practice faith a little differently here, but it's the combining of it with politics that pollutes it, and we'll get into that. But go ahead and finish your point.
No, I mean that kind of is that faith has been diluted because of that, and you've got and I think Christians in particular have been targets of the rules are different when it comes to Christians. I mean, I'll just throw out a quick thing. I mean, I don't know if I've seen anybody's faith abused like our vice president. Yeah. I mean, and maybe President Bush. But I mean, there is this, Vice President Pence is a man of faith. He talks about it. He doesn't hide it. He doesn't impose it.
Right.
But he's not shy about saying, that he feels and it's that he has a connection with his Lord and Savior. And the amount of people that offends, I mean, it's like, I mean, I'm sure if it were a different religion, there probably would be a different tone to it.
Yeah.
But it's like, why is that so just... I mean, there's just vitriol. President Bush would mention how much of a person of faith he was. Mm-hmm. And it would be, and he was very devout, still is.
Yeah.
And it just brought out, the claws from certain, the ACLU, and people were all over talking about he can't reference this and he can't say this. What?
He's a human being. You don't check your faith at the door.
Yeah, doesn't he have a First Amendment right to?
Yeah.
I mean, as much as an atheist would.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what is it about that makes people so mad? This Mike Pence, this governor, vice president, and he's also a Christian.
Yes.
And that is offensive to some people.
Well,
okay, you disagree with him on politics, that's different. But why is his faith why does it bring out? And it's funny. I hear people on the other side, John Kerry talked about what a great Catholic he was, and no one was offended by it. He said life begins at birth, or at conception. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nobody got offended at it.
No.
Nobody said, "Oh, wait a minute." How do you reconcile that with your views on certain things?
Right.
He was never challenged on it. So I mean, I don't know. It's head scratching.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's just take a moment more here and look.
Why not?
It's
a good discussion.
Yeah, we'll look at history, and this is so tough because there is such a great, rich history of people of faith being involved in politics, but not having those politics dictate what a certain faith does.
Yeah, I get where you're going.
We go back just even to the beginning of this country. How many of the signers of the Declaration were pastors and evangelists? I mean, quite a few of them.
Yeah. Well, how many signed it? Maybe 60?
Yeah.
58? Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that Congress had printed a Bible because we were importing English Bibles from overseas. Mm-hmm. We wanted to cut that off. We didn't want to get those from England anymore, and so Congress.
Yeah, you had to pay an extra tax on it.
Yeah, Congress financed that. And there is just a whole litany of events throughout our history, whether you're talking about from George Washington and how he prayed really affected how the American Revolution ended up. And same thing with Abraham Lincoln with the Civil War.
A lot of coincidences if you study them.
Yeah,
there's a direct line, I know.
Absolutely. And so you look at that, and you look at these men of faith, and our Constitution, I mean, is basically taken out of the book of Deuteronomy, Leviticus, and then also, a lot of the writings of...
it's based on Judeo-Christian principles.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so...
And at the same time, mm-hmm. the founding persons understood how important freedom of religion was as it relates to the government.
Right.
I think the First Amendment is so misunderstood. You hear the term establishment clause.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the people who say it know what it means.
Separation of church and state. No, that is a letter from Thomas Jefferson to the Danbury Baptist Church.
Yeah, I know. It's
protecting religious freedom, not squashing it.
Yes. I mean, it's freedom of religion, not from religion.
It means that the state cannot set up a religion that you have to follow.
Right.
That's what it means. You are free to practice your own religion, the state cannot come in and say you have to practice X.
And it's honestly no more complicated than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as you just said it.
Yeah.
Now, and if everybody just took it as simply as we're putting it, there'd be no issues going back and forth here. Mm-hmm. The word God does not establish a religion.
No.
Santa Claus over on the city, over a town hall, does not establish a religion.
No.
A Christian cross does not establish a religion either.
No. What establishes a religion is the government saying you have to practice X.
Yes.
Having a state church and saying this is what you have to practice.
Which was prominent in a lot of European countries going way back before the revolution.
Oh, it's prominent in China right now.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
You know, they have the Chinese Christian church, and you can't be part of a different church. That's why the people in the underground church are getting tortured and imprisoned.
Or the old Soviet Union, where you couldn't be a member of a church.
Of any church.
Period. The church was the government.
Yep, a lot of Muslim countries, you cannot be a Christian.
Yes.
You have to be a Muslim.
And the consequences of not being are very severe. I don't even want to say them.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, the religion's tolerance in the United States is unique in many ways, as far as I'm concerned.
So what we have now, though, is completely different, I think. I mean, you had faithful men and women that contributed to the founding of this country in creating biblical values, Judeo-Christian values. You know, you're looking at, you know, how do we love each other? Not killing each other, not stealing from each other. Yeah,
I'm going to take it a step further. Martin Luther King Jr., what was he? A pastor.
Absolutely.
I mean, he took his nonviolent beliefs in his faith and organized sit-ins, boycotts, protests, marches, peaceful protests, freedom of assembly. I mean, you talk about a guy with a faith. I mean, one of the greatest Americans ever, with a faith-based approach.
Yep.
He didn't push it on other people. He didn't say you have to believe in my faith to march in my march.
Nope, you don't have to.
But he's a terrific example,
absolutely,
of faith-based initiatives.
Yeah.
Way off track from what we're talking about today.
No, this is different. This is. I got to be careful how I say it. You have a government that is
Jay,
coming.
You don't have to be careful. We're on a podcast.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I want to say it right though.
Yeah.
You have a government that is coming up with all of these socialist ideas, and you have then them working with leadership in these various denominations, and these leaders going back to their churches and saying, "Okay, here's what we're going to push for." This, and they do it in the name of equity. Because things aren't equal. Well, the only thing we're promised is equal opportunity in this country, not equal outcomes. But as we're going to talk about, and we need to, I guess, get into this some with this group. We could sit and have a history discussion all day. But I think that's an important foundation, important groundwork for people to understand where this goes off the rails a little bit.
No doubt about it. And you know, also these churches getting away with calling themselves nonpartisan. I mean, you almost laugh when you talk about Isaiah, Minnesota, and the ability to call themselves non. Now, again, they can believe what they want,
right?
But you can't cloak it in BS that you're not on one side or the other.
Right. Well, here's what they say about themselves. Isaiah is a vehicle for congregations, clergy, and people of faith to act collectively. There's a red flag word right there.
No kidding.
And powerfully towards racial and economic equity in the state of Minnesota. By uniting local congregations in a large regional organization, Isaiah strengthens the ability of people of faith to... Oh, they had a typo here. Isaiah strengthens the ability of people of faith to address both local and regional community issues.
You said Tutu.
Yes. Not Bishop Tutu either.
Oh, okay.
Including mass incarceration, immigration, healthcare, and racial inequity. So
they want like a big Met Council then. They want a regional movement.
Yes. Yep. And they do call themselves nonpartisan. Although if you look through all of their stuff, they only talk negative about conservatives and the Republican Party and people associated with the conservative movement, and they only praise people that seem to be affiliated with Democrats and the socialist movement.
And like you mentioned, the things that they're pushing, I mean, driver's licenses for everybody. We mentioned this on a previous show. I don't remember which one, but that the freedom to drive. Now, see, they've cloaked it into, they're doing the same hashtag that everybody else is doing. And that's, again, getting driver's license for illegal aliens is very, very different than, a faith-based organization to help somebody.
Right.
I mean, they're trying to change laws here, not try to better someone's life through faith. They're using faith to organize, to push socialism.
Right.
Now, how does this happen? I mean, how do we, like you said, how do we get to this point? I mean, basically, the side that complains about church and state is taking churchgoers or bringing them to churches. I don't know which is which, and using that to organize, to elect, and push certain issues.
Yes.
So that's where we're at right now.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty extreme.
Absolutely. So really, this is just using people of faith to push political issues.
Right. And by cloaking it in faith, I think it has a different tenor to it than if MoveOn.org was doing this, or if what other Center for American Progress or whoever else was doing things like this. Well, this is seen as when you put faith on something, I think people have a different they have a different look at it.
People of faith tend to put their guard down a little bit.
Yeah.
People not of faith tend to put their guard up, maybe. but that's the thing. When you use faith like that, I mean, you're more able to speak to somebody and get your point across if they're a faithful person.
Sure, faithful people like to talk to each other.
Right.
So, what faith are we talking about here?
Well, it looks like any of them.
Okay.
But let's look at this. Is what they say their values are. They believe that leadership development unites and allows people to take powerful steps to improve the quality of our community. Okay. They value ethnic and religious diversity in communities and sees this diversity as enriching and healthy. Okay.
Okay. To me, that means nothing.
Isaiah believes in the power of acting collectively. Again, red flag word.
Collective.
In ways that are consistent with our faith values and principles of democracy.
Ignoring the fact we're a republic.
Right. And so we're talking about, again, democratic socialism here is what we're talking about. Because collective, that's a communist socialist word. So that's what we're talking about. And Jesus was not a communist. He, again, taught us to give out of generosity. Did not teach us
how Jesus is abused today. I don't. Yeah. It's like we got a million Pontius Pilates running around.
So this is important, to understand that we are talking about democratic socialism here.
Mixed in with faith.
Yeah.
So it's basically using faith to push socialism, i.e., if you are a really caring, loving person, you will support driver's licenses for everybody. And if you don't, okay, and I think this is the other half of this, if you don't, there are consequences if you don't.
Right.
You are not a good person.
Right. And they point to scriptures like Acts 2, where the second chapter of Acts, where it talks about believers got together and broke bread and worshiped every day together. And then they gave of everything that they had to each other, to those that were in need. Well, again, that was a decision. That was a personal decision by a bunch of people that were super close and loved each other. That was not the church saying you're giving up your stuff, or
the government,
or the Roman government would have been,
not lobbying the legislature to do it for you.
Right, exactly.
Well, what other kinds of things are they pushing? Jay?
They believe that all people have the ability to co-create our environment.
co-create.
Yes. As far as
Procreate?
as far as I know, God is the only one that created. But I mean, we create in smaller ways, and I guess we can trash it or we can make it better. But I think that is another careful word for social engineering.
Yeah.
They are looking to recreate what we have today and make it more equitable.
In other words, tear it down and rebuild it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Isaiah believes in the possibility of transforming. This is another important word. If you remember Barack Obama, it wasn't him, but it was Michelle who stated that in just a few days, Barack is going to fundamentally transform our country, our history, all of it, right? So they want to transform people, our public institutions, and culture.
Our public institutions, though, that's another...
Yeah.
That's another red flag, because what are they talking about? What's the public institution that has probably the most influence? It's education.
Education is definitely one of them.
That's where you shape young minds to think a certain way, whether that's in line with what their beliefs are or whatever. The goal of the left is total conformity. You believe what we believe, or else.
Right.
Or else you're a hater or whatever. So to me, when I hear public institutions, I think of academia being the scariest.
Right.
Because as adults, we have a choice. Kids don't.
Yeah. And they do have an initiative called Kids Count on Us. They have a whole Facebook page for that as well. And so that's probably where they're kind of putting that in there. It says a few politicians are putting wedges between communities based on race, religion, and ethnicity to distract us from the kickbacks and tax cuts for the already wealthy, while people who work for a living are left scrambling. And so this deals a lot with like child care assistance program. So they want to make sure that there's more child care welfare available for working parents. They do have a number of initiatives. Barbershops creating change in the community.
What's that, one clip at a time?
I don't know. But, especially within like the African community, barbershops are huge because that, they sit and they go and get their hair cut and they talk and they, it's kind of like the water cooler or, it's where people meet up and they share ideas.
Hey, remember the barber on the Andy Griffith Show? Everybody met there and chatted.
Yep.
They can be.
So it's to be able to spread ideas through the barbershops. The Black Church Collective, that's what they call it. So again, working through the black churches. They have one called Claiming Our Voices, Healthy Heartlands, Kids Count on Us, the Latinx Coalition, the Muslim Coalition, the Reach Team, and the Sanctuary Network are all of their initiatives. Yeah, they have all of these things that are going out into the community in different ways to be able to reach the people and change minds and get their ideas out there.
And one of the reasons we mentioned it on this program is that they have not only are in politics, but they've broken it down pretty locally, Jay.
Yeah.
They've broken it down. I want you to share with that local Senate districts are actually promoting things with this group.
Absolutely. And just to kind of clear up, they sent out a flyer for an upcoming thing with SD 46 that I was able to see. And that
46, we're talking St. Louis Park, Hopkins.
Yeah.
Southern half of Golden Valley.
Yep, absolutely. Down in that area. They put a little map of Minnesota on this flyer, and here's the things that they really stand for. And we can get into this more later, but so they are going to have this event, and I'll talk more about that. But this map, driver's licenses for immigrants is written in there.
And, of course, no distinction made between a legal immigrant and an illegal immigrant.
And, again, if you're coming here from another country legally, you can get an international driver's license.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really? That's recognized by every state?
Yeah. You Google it. Yeah. It's.
But I'd like to make sure people who are driving can read the signs and can pass a basic test. I mean, they probably would have to anyway. But the fact that, again, we're making no distinctions between legal and illegal is where I really have an issue.
Absolutely. Another thing, 100% clean energy, paid family and medical leave, restore the vote, which means letting more people vote that are going to vote Democrat.
Yes, that's how they're expanding their base.
Minnesota Care for All. So that same thing as Medicare for all.
Universal single-payer health care.
Yes, it is. Affordable, quality, accessible child care. So that's what we just kind of talked about there. And an end to anti-Muslim words and actions.
Only Muslim, though.
It says Minnesota is ready. Yeah, they don't care if Christians
are. Christians, Jews, they can all fend for themselves.
Right. And so anyway, SD 46, that lovely area, is on Saturday, April 27th from 3 to 4:30 p.m. are meeting at Union Congregational Church, which is 3700 Alabama Avenue South in lovely St. Louis Park. And anybody can come. So, maybe you want to drop in on that if you have nothing better going on. The title of the event is Creating a Democracy That Includes Everyone and an Economy in Which Everyone Can Thrive. And Senator Ron Latz will be there and Representative Cheryl Joachim, both from 46.
Ryan Winkler?
No, the Fonz isn't coming.
Yeah.
So so it's a meeting with both of those, and
they are co-promoting an event with DFL politicians at a church.
Yes, how they are going to create a caring economy where
caring economy.
Yes, where every Minnesotan family, no matter what they look like, where they come from, or how much money they have,
so no matter how ugly they are,
and build a robust multiracial democracy that recognizes the dignity of every person. So some of the other things they didn't mention in that map: increased investments for child care and early learning.
$15 minimum wage. They've been known to promote that as well.
Yeah, they wanted to move Minnesota to 100% renewable energy by 2050. And they want to restore the vote for felons who have served their prison time. So, it's
so that's how is that agenda nonpartisan? That's what I'm curious about.
I don't know, because I wouldn't agree. Well, with the prison thing, if they've served their time, I'm okay with that.
I am okay with it, but not any of the bills that I've seen on it.
Right.
My opinion
have not been good.
My opinion, and I believe in second chances.
Yep.
Okay. if you boosted a car when you were 19 and you're now 35, that's different than I think you have to look at the crime.
Well,
I think there should be a period of time where you don't reoffend.
Yeah.
I think you should be off probation. I think there should be something where it's stages.
Right.
Not, okay, you're going on parole today. By the way, here's a card to register to vote. That's what I object to. So I agree with you that the concept, people can change, they can reform, they deserve a second chance. But it can't be, the day you leave prison, you walk down to City Hall and register to vote. No.
Right.
There should be some sort of probation. There should be some sort of stages, just like a stage to reenter your life. I mean, you may start with, they may set you up with a menial job and a halfway house. A lot of people use a halfway house to transition.
Right.
And then eventually you get your own place. Eventually you get and voting should be restored the same way.
Right.
So I do agree with you, but I do not support the federal one that President Trump signed. I thought was a much better approach. That wasn't about voting, though.
Yeah.
It was about nonviolent crimes. A second chance bill, which I don't want to get into. It's too much.
Right.
But that had been on the books for a long time. But But yeah, I mean, that agenda is, if you crossed out everything on Minnesota there and just wrote 3 letters on there and you can guess what those are, it's pretty much lock and step with one side. Now, there's an event in Senate District 44 as well in Plymouth. Who's all coming to that one?
Goodness. Where did that one go here?
I don't know. You sent it to me. Or did you?
No, I didn't send that one to you. They do have an events page. I'll just go over there. The magic speed of the... Oh, there we go. So, yeah, they got all sorts of great things coming up. They're April 27th. They have at the Islamic Center of St. Cloud an in-district meeting with Representative Dan Wolgamott. They do have an SD 44 in-district meeting at the Plymouth Creek Christian Church on April 27th at 10 a.m.
Same date, earlier time.
Yeah, it doesn't say who's coming to that one. They maybe couldn't get anybody in that district. And so it just goes April 27th, an in-district meeting with Rep. Cowley Hare at McAllister Plymouth United Church in St. Paul. In-district meeting with Abu Bakr, or at Abu Bakr Islamic Center in Minneapolis. In-district meeting with Rep. Connie Bernardi at the Islamic
41.
Center of Fridley. Yes.
Interesting,
on
too.
April 27th.
So April 27th is a big day.
It is a big day.
Interesting. The one in St. Louis Park says the Isaiah team in Minnesota Senate District 46 is hosting a meeting with Senator Ron Lance and Cheryl Dwight Yoakam.
Yes.
On blah, 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 like you said. But this is, so the point is that this is being broken down very locally now.
Yes.
So how long is it, Jay, do you think before city councils, county commissioners, all things like that are going to be, the Isaiah team is going to be jumping in on those things also?
Yeah, I'm sure that's already happened in some places.
Probably.
They're probably, especially in places like Minneapolis, St. Louis Park, they're already working with those city councils. I would guess.
I would guess as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I'm sure, yeah. And we've already seen pushes for this equitable housing or equitable transportation.
Whatever that means.
But here's the thing. I mean, they use religion to twist things around. And you're wondering, well, what does light rail have to do with faith? Or, what is...
You'd be surprised.
What does, having more money for childcare have to do with faith? Let me read a couple of things here. If I might be able to.
You might be.
Let's read this one. They have a blog entry called Prophetic Resistance.
Resistance.
Yes.
Another term.
Borrowed
from where is that coming from?
Occupy Wall Street and the whole communist movement.
And the whole resist the president. Hashtag resist.
Yeah. Okay, so they put in something here out of the Quran. Quran Reflection 43, 13 through 14. Glory to him who has subjected these to us. But for him, we could never have accomplished this. To our Lord we shall return. And here's what they say about it. All means of transportation, from the horse to airplanes, are blessings of Allah. If they were brought into being, it was entirely due to Allah having harnessed the potential of nature to human use. When one thinks of all these bounties showered upon us by Allah, one spontaneously calls out, "O Allah, it is you who has subjected everything to us. It would not otherwise have been possible for us to make the use of these things as we have." One side note, this kind of goes against the Green New Deal and any of those new Muslim senators or reps who are talking in favor of this and then reading it. Anyways, one of Allah's countless bounties is his provision of suitable conveyances. To meet different requirements, one has to travel from one place to another. But one cannot traverse long distances on foot. Allah has therefore come to our aid and made certain things subject to us in order that we may utilize them as transport. To deny people access to Allah's gifts because of where they come from is wrong. glory to Allah for making a path where we can all benefit.
So that is in the Quran.
Not all of that. The first part was the verse. This was their commentary afterwards.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So what they're saying is that it is wrong to deny people access to transportation because Allah or God or whoever has given us the ability to create it and harness it.
Yeah, I want to know something. Who is being denied access to transportation?
Well, nobody. I mean,
so,
if you can make enough to get a ticket, you can ride.
Well, right, but
right?
I mean, what they're basically saying is everybody should be able to go wherever they want to, anytime they want to, on anybody else.
Right.
And if you oppose it, you are going against your faith.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So
we got Allah. We got Allah to blame for North Star.
So they make people feel bad about it. It's like
imagine saying that to a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I mean, or somebody lost and trying to find faith. There's a lot of people who are trying to find something to base their life around.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff being put in their head.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a list here of all of the groups that.
Yeah.
It's a big list, and it's just amazing to me how they're kind of just in everything. I mean, they've been around since 2010.
Well, so not that long.
So not that long, but they've been able to kind of work themselves into all these different places. And
so, like who, Jay? Who are they? Who's on their page? Who are they in with?
Well, let's see here.
Because I mean, everybody's
don't have it memorized.
Oh, okay.
But they have, like I say, a lot of these different arms and stuff like that. Where'd they all go?
Do. It's rare I ask you a question you're not prepared for.
Well, I'm flying through web pages like I'm starring in the new version of Quantum Leap here.
Oh,
Al. That doesn't date me at all.
No, I remember that show very well.
Yeah. It's here somewhere. But they do. They have all of these groups.
They're with CARE.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. CARE was on there.
That's a big one.
Yep. That's right. Thank you for reminding me.
If you go to their Twitter page, they retweet like SEIU, union stuff. They'll retweet things from certain Senator AFL-CIO, MN paid family leave, Take on Wall Street. I don't know how close they are with everybody, but Main Street Alliance, Minnesota.
Well, they definitely agree with it. If nothing else.
Take Action, Minnesota. So, they're in bed with the normal groups and all that you see all the time on the left. I mean, that's pretty much who they're with. They've retweeted the governor, which is not a surprise. I mean, I don't know why anybody, but SEIU. They're getting involved in the census because
immigrants should be counted in the census, according to them.
Regardless of status.
Right.
I mean, we can ask every invasive question on a census thing that you possibly can ask, except whether you're a citizen. I mean, you can ask what your race, your income, your gender, the color of your eyes, the length of your mustache, the how many pets you have, but you can't ask if somebody's a citizen, which is just insane. So, I mean, they're with the usual normal groups. Education Minnesota is another one, which is one of the reasons that I think that a lot of this is academia. Young people are going to be who are targeted in this. So, pay attention. I mean, when you go into church, pay attention to who's they've come out in favor of the gas tax.
Yeah. They had a story on here. Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace, Undocumented Immigrant. About how Jesus wasn't, he spent some time in Egypt. I imagine. I haven't read the whole thing, but so it's a whole.
But I think the larger concern for me is what happens locally too. That
right.
They're one of a million groups over in St. Paul. Okay.
Yeah.
Not all of them have crept into City Hall and county boards, and they're already in school districts.
Right.
So to me, that is really where we need to go and follow this, and you need to follow it where you are, and look up these churches. It doesn't have to be Isaiah; they don't have to be associated with them.
No,
but figure out, who has got the what we talked about the beginning of that sense of community, that sense of bringing people together for a common cause, and who is trying to push legislation, and that's very, very different things.
Right. So it's really about trying to build a force that'll help push their legislation forward in the communities.
And use faith doing it.
Right.
I mean, cloaking things in faith. Believe this or else. I mean, that's, when it comes to, that's serious business.
Right. So, yeah, there you go.
Just another thing to look out for, everybody. It's just, the list never ends.
Well, again, to reiterate, to come around full circle, we are pro-charity. We believe that charity is a choice of the individual to be generous, not government taking it from us. And definitely not the government using religion to coerce people into pushing their point forward. Instead, it works the other way around, with people of faith going into government and making it better, not government coming to the people. This is another just backward scenario. So, all right. If you see this stuff happening in your community, let us know. Or, you want to run for an advisory commission or run for office somewhere, we want to help you do that so that you can stand tall for the principles of liberty and of not equal outcomes, but equal justice. Not social justice, equal justice for everybody. Get a hold of us, commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That is commsolutionsmn@gmail.com, and we'd love to help you out. Again, thank you for listening to this podcast every week. It means so much to us. If you could just give it a rating, give it a comment, that's going to help get the word out to other people who really need to know this stuff. So, again, thank you so much. We will be back in 1 week from tonight. It is night here. It might not be where you are right now listening to this, but it is here. We'll be back in 1 week with another podcast. Don't you fear. We're going to plow forward. We're not shrinking back. We're taking prisoners, taking names.
Well, you end the show longer and longer every week.
We love you, Minnesota. That's your turn to get to work.
If I get too caught up